Hello guys. Last time what we did was we implemented a one-page template that looks like this. And today we're going to continue working on our website. So what we have now is we have create, read, update, delete of tags. And now we have the same related to articles. Once you edit an article, you could add title, add some text, and pick some tags and add an image. So let's just add an image that we could use. In this case, this one. And if I save and click, I see my image being shown. So this is just a small example how you could have a create, read, update, delete. But let's dig a bit deeper into how to make it more production ready. One of the things that we need to do is actually limit the content. Because in here we're showing the title, the content, the text, and the image. How do we do that? Well, if you open the code and go to your article code controller, we could see that we have a function that's called getFieldsData, and this function getFieldsData actually is responsible for rendering all the information here. What we are going to do now is actually we are going to adjust the text. Inside the text, there are some options like saying a limit. In this case, we could say show 50 characters when in view mode. So this is saying if it's in view mode, show 50, otherwise show all of them. We don't have a limit. And if we apply it, we could see that it's just splitting that text and it's showing 50 items. If we say show only 10 characters, now it will show less items here. And again, it's a bit broken. What's the reason? Because it's still escaped. So we could say escaped false, and this means don't escape the actual HTML. So if we run it, this is how it looks like. And now, if you go and edit the text again, saying this is one very long text that I am writing, and if I save it and go back, you could see that it's just cut and it's added some extra dots to it. So this is now looking better than it was before. Another thing that we could optimize actually is adding validations, because now if you try to add a new article and click save, you get an error. You get an error because it says the title cannot be known, etc. But we don't have any validations. In order for us to add validations, we need to adjust the actual requests. If you remember correctly, there are a couple of ways to validate data in Laravel. One of them is using requests, the other one is being done inside the controller, and etc. But for our cases, we are using requests. And if you open the article request file, and this file is located in your app, then you have HTTP, and inside HTTP you have request folder, and then you have the name of the request, in this case article. You could see that the rules are empty, so we don't have any rules. And how we could start adding rules? Well, adding rules is actually making sure that we are following the rules of the fields. So if I open the article code controller, we see that we have a title field, and we could say something like, this is the title, and it has maximum limit of these number of characters. And we could do the same for the content. We could do it for the tags, and then we could add even something for the image. So what we did now is, if I click refresh, now you see that everything is required except for the image. And if you try to save it, you get an error saying, hey, the title is required, the content is required, and the tags are also required. So we have a minimum and maximum in there, and we are saying that this is treated as an array. So if I choose one of them and click save, it will won't show an error for the tags, but it will continue showing error for the rest. Another thing that we added here is actually introducing validation for the image. And what we are doing is we are saying, hey, image, you could be knowable, you are an image, and you could say what are the available file types that you want to do, and what is the maximum size. And also you could say some dimensions like minimum width and minimum height. So if I choose a file, let's try, I'm going to put one PDF in here, and if I try to save it, I get an error that it should be an image, it should be one of these types, and it should have valid dimensions. So if I choose another file, let's say this after filter, it's PNG file that's almost 3 megabytes. If I try to save it again, I get an error saying, hey, you choose a file, but that file is a bit bigger than what we expected, so that's why you could not use it. So that's really good because you have to actually choose an image that's not that big. And if I try to choose another image, then we don't have the error because the image is okay. But the title is missing and the content is also missing. Another thing that you need to know is you could add custom messages. And these messages are things that you could alter the actual error messages. So in here, if I continue doing what the my ID is suggesting, you see that I could adjust anything. So content is required, tags are required, the image must be of this size, and etc. So also we could say title field is required, not just title is required. So the title field is required. If you click save, title field is required. This is what we adjusted. And this is actually updating the actual errors. So it's similar for content. Content field is required. We could say content field is required. And if you save it, in here is still content is required. If you click save and back, then it's content field. So we could say this is my title. And in here, this is the content. Also, another thing that we might have to add is making sure that this title is unique. And it should be unique among articles because it's a really good idea to have validation whether a certain field is unique. So in here we have test and then we have another one. And now if I try to add a new article saying test, and if I try to save it, what happens is I get an error that this title is already taken and it must be at least 5 characters. So the validation is working. You could adjust also the actual validation by saying something like, hey, title unique, the title must be unique. So in here, the error is the title has already been taken, but if I resave it now, it will be title must be unique. So in short, this is how you should add validations. You should check the rules, add the relevant rules that you want to have. Make sure that if you have file upload, you are saying that whether the file is required or not, that you have, in this case, an image. If it's an image, then you say what are the available file types. You could set a maximum file size and also dimensions if you are going with any images. And then you could set specific error messages for all the errors. How do you build the error? Well, the error is built in a way, first is the field name, then dot, and then it's the rule that you are applying. This is a really simple way for you to go and actually adjust the errors. And now if you go and try to edit anything of the things we added, you see that we have the red star, so it is already a required field. Another thing, something small, but it will have an impact that we could do is actually adjust these icons here. Because it's all like, yes, we have the dashboard like a house, And then we have question mark for tags and question mark for articles, which is not bad, but it's not ideal. And also it's the same for all of them. And you might wonder, okay, how do I edit this? Well, if you click inspect on it and just click on the actual icon, first you could see what is the class. It's LA and then it's a question. Then, if you are inside your favorite browser and in the editor, I could see that this is actually a font family that's used, and this font family is Wine Awesome Free. So, what I can do now is search for this font family. Let me search for it. And no, we don't want to print anything. I'm searching for this Wine Awesome Free and I get a website. And if I click on the website, I see all the options that I could use. So let's see, we have tags and we have articles. Do we have direct items that we could use for tags? Let's see, tags. Yes, there is an icon tag. And what's the name? It's away-tags. Well, where could you find those items? Those items are inside your resources folder. Then you go to views, then you go to vendor, and in here you have menu items. And I see that we have tag. So I could say this is actual tags. And if everything is correct, the image should be replaced. And yes, it is replaced and we have tags. Let's see, do they have an icon for articles? So if I search for article, I don't have search, but if I search for post, no, for file, we could choose something. So they have audio video, then they have arrows, accessibility. What else do they have? Now we need to pick something. So they have the arrows, the audio video, autumn, beverage, brand icons, a lot of brand icons actually. Buildings, business. And in here, they have the file. We could use this one. It's AOA-file. So instead of question, if it's an article, I want to use file. And do they have a file alternative? Yes, and that's better actually. So we're going to use file and then dash alternative. And how this look like? Let's see. If you click here, now we have articles and tags, which have better icons compared to the ones before. So what we did with you guys is actually we added some validations. We fixed the listing here. And another thing that we will cover in this video is simply removing this getting started because it says how to create your first create, read, update, delete, and etc. We don't want that. So we will just follow the hide this notice and it says, please open your config backpack UI .php. So if I open my config backpack and then UI, and if I search for show getting started, it has an option. I see that it's checking based on the environment. In this case, I'm on local environment. That's why it's showing. But if I click false, I'll just comment this section, enter flash. Now we have used the sidebar to create, edit, or delete content. So we already removed the dummy text from the beginning and added the articles. This will be enough for today's video. Next time, we will continue by showing you how you could add your menu items and how you could actually edit those menu items. Thank you, guys.